All right, we are live. What is going on, guys? It is Dives, Mr. Crockpot on Twitter. Welcome to Party on Broad. Party on Broad can be found on iTunes and Spotify. If you're watching us here on YouTube, make sure you comment below. We will react to your comments and subscribe. Joining me today is my man, Rob, our co-host. He is at Philly_Madness on Twitter. What up, Rob?
Well, I guess we don't have to wait for the start of the season to start being pissed off on Sundays, huh? I mean, it's just, my God, you wake up, Yannick, injuries, Matt Pryor getting torn apart by Josh Sweat. What a day to be an Eagles fan, huh? Coming off of that great Flyers game last night, by the way.
Never ends. Never ends. We were joking around on your Madness podcast, man. Like, yeah, come on. Yeah. Let's play 3 fucking quarters this time, or 3 fucking periods this time, man. Please. Also joining us today is my man, Prince. He is on Twitter at RealPrinceBlue. What up, Prince?
What's going on? Glad you guys have me. Full disclosure, I'm having some allergy issues, so I apologize ahead of time. But I'm happy to be here. Happy to be a Philly fan. That could be debated.
Like, I have a 1-year-old daughter. Do I raise her in this madness of Philly sports? Do I?
You have to suffer too.
Yeah, she feels pain.
Yeah.
Man, pain is real. Pain is real. All right. And lastly, today is my man, Shane. Follow him on Twitter at @halfandhalf_TPL. What up, Shane?
What's up? I'm just here to say preemptively that you guys are looking at this all wrong. Josh Sweat's about to have a breakout year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice segue.
You're talking to the guy who once said Marcus Smith was a 12-sack guy. So.
All right. So what are we doing today? Today we are talking about the top Eagles storylines at Eagles training camp. And leading us off today has to be Andre Dillard out for the year, man. And like, this is just so fucking mind-numbing, guys. Like, we all know Andre Dillard has struggled during camp. Getting pancaked by freaking Joe Osman is inexcusable. But you know what is also inexcusable? The piss-poor drafting and lack of development on the Philadelphia Eagles, man. On the other hand, like, what is the point of the Eagles medical staff? What are they doing? And then you look at all these injuries. We just had Jalen Reagor fall down and I just had a massive heart attack over these last 2 hours. Is he okay? Is he not okay? Is he holding his shoulder? So Jalen Reagor's out with a shoulder injury. What's going to happen with that? Is he I guess he's day-to-day, guys. I don't know. But at the end of the day, priority number 1 has always been, is and always has been protecting Carson Wentz. And Andre Dillard being out for the year, man, I'm just going back that since 2017, it's been the storyline over and over and over again. When Carson Wentz is locked in, when he's moving out of the pocket, when this guy's in rhythm, the mechanics are solid. This guy's an MVP candidate, and that is just in serious jeopardy now. Like, Shane, lead us off, man. Walk me off the ledge. What is going on with Andre Dillard, dude?
No idea. The Eagles have got to be the most unlucky team in the history of the NFL. Like, if you go back and look at the injuries in the Super Bowl year and in 2018 and 2019, I ran the numbers off of the adjusted games lost, and we're like the second worst team over the last 3 years in terms of injuries. And I don't know. It's just, here we go again.
It's unreal. Rob, what's your take on Andre Dillard out for the year, and where do they go from here, dude?
You know, one of the things that I think we do as Philly fans is we blindly trust our GM and people when they tell us things about guys. Because I can remember draft night, the Eagles trade up to get Andre Dillard. But at the time, in my head, I thought they were trading up for a guy by the name of Montez Sweat, who I wanted really, really, really bad. They didn't. And then the Eagles said, no. Dillard was wanted by this team. He was wanted by that team. He was wanted by this team. Even before the injury, the news wasn't necessarily all, roses coming out of training camp about Andre Dillard. So we get sold on that. Then he gets hurt. Now Jason Peters, who has been Mr. Eagle, is deciding that he's going to take a stand and say, if you want me to move, I want more money. I'm telling you, I've always thought Philly was a bad luck type of town. But this is baffling at this point. I am truly baffled that I feel like every day I'm just waiting to see who's injured next. Even Carson's injured, and apparently football is hockey now, and they don't tell you the injury. They just say a lower body injury, whatever the hell that means.
Yeah.
Is Jason Peters setting a record for the quickest renegotiation time in history? Like, what, he signed a contract 5-6 weeks ago and he already wants to renegotiate?
I mean, come on, man. Just play.
I mean, that's got to be on the Eagles side there. What about you, Prince? What's your take on Andre Dillard's injury, dude?
Who? Oh, Andre Dillard. Oh, but according to Schefter and that weird ass tweet, he was dominant. So use your commas, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know what's going on. I don't know. I swear, Howie Roseman is the most helter-skelter GM I think we've ever seen in this town. The ultimate high, a Super Bowl for the Philadelphia Eagles. The ultimate low, his bad draft history, his inflated cap space to older players, his ability to piss us off even when shit isn't going on, waking up to the Yannick stuff like that. I just don't understand about Howie. Honestly, I'm with y'all. I'm to the point where the blind shit is out the window. It's like, Howie, you got to do better than what you're doing. 2017 was a long time ago to me now. Like, let's go. Pick it up. Like, don't take our fandom for granted because we love our Eagles and we're going to continuously be there. Don't pull the Sixers. Do what it takes to put the best product on the field.
Amen. And there's no way you can tell me that it's simply bad luck. So here we are. The Eagles are entering the regular season, with the offensive line, a major question mark heading into the season. One of Jordan Mailata, Prince Tega Wanogo, Jack Driscoll, Matt Pryor. These guys have to step up. The depth on the offensive line has to step up. Don't get me started on the long-term implications of what this means for Andre Dillard. Is he the left tackle of the future? Just shaking my fucking head, man. We just get into this year in, year out about the Eagles, about the lack of drafting and player development. So my man Shane wrote an awesome article about Andre Dillard's injury and how that shakes up the offensive line. Dude, Shane, where do you see the Eagles going moving forward? Starting left tackle, right guard. What do you think? What's your best guess?
By the time I wrote the article, I said that Jason Peters was going to slide over to left tackle, Matt Pryor was going to play right guard, and the Eagles' offensive line would be better than it was if Dillard played. Now Jason Peters wants more money, and I don't know what they're going to do with that. I know they tried Pryor at left tackle today, and he was terrible. Mailata hasn't been good in camp, so I don't know. Jason Peters has him right where he wants him. They almost have to give him the money, and it's going to make me sick.
I don't think you have a choice unless you go out there. They're obviously clearly going to have to bring in some sort of veteran lineman. So that is our top storyline. Do you guys want any comment on that, or should we move on? Anybody?
Go ahead, Rob. I'm sorry.
I just want you to listen. I have loved everything Jason Peters has given to this organization the entire time he's there. He's a Hall of Fame left tackle. But he's got to understand, he didn't have any suitors this year. Like, no one was beating down his door to get him into their camp. He came back to the Eagles after Brandon Brooks went down. And now you're going to start making demands. Dude, you averaged 2 offsides a game, I feel like, last year, false starts. Like, just go play the position. Like, this is not – you have made a ton of money in your career. Now's not the time to all of a sudden scrimp. Just go play the position and make this team the best they can be because you don't have another option for left tackle right now.
What about you, Prince?
You know that whole term Philly guy? He just showed that he's not it. When we needed him and we needed him to come through, he stuck to him first. He thought about himself first. He put himself ahead of the team. And to me, that's just not blue collar. That's not we all work hard, and sometimes we all feel like we work harder than what we get paid for. But have any of us walked into our supervisor and said, "Hey, I did a good job today. I noticed Chris isn't in today, so if you want me to host, I want more money."
And it's the position he wants to play to begin with.
Yeah.
He didn't sign with the Eagles because he wanted to be a left tackle. He's like a toddler that he wants to play left tackle, but now that you need him to, he's not going to do it unless you cave to his demands.
Yeah. Killer, man. We have Nicole joining. That's Mrs. Crockpot. If she has to, or if I have to, then she does too. I love it. We also have Master Blaster joining. He goes, "What's up, Rob?"
What's up, Master Blaster? How are you, man?
All right, let's move on to our second top storyline so far through Eagles training camp, and that's got to be my man Avonte Maddox. Right now, as the starting corner opposite Darius Slay. When you talk about underrated storylines for Eagles training camp, I think of Avonte Maddox, guys. This guy's certainly on the top of that short list. Whether it was like injuries or poor play, the Eagles cornerback play was absolutely horrendous last year. Last 2 years, just giving up big play after big play. I remember being so jacked up about Avonte Maddox coming into training camp last year, thinking that this guy's going to be a Pro Bowler. This is the year that he takes 2 steps forward in his development. It didn't happen. And that's just, we all know this guy's quick. He's smart. He's got the speed to play on the outside. Similar to Derek Barnett, though, this is the year of Avonte Maddox. This is his opportunity. The Eagles were in the bottom of the league in 2019 in turnover differential, total takeaways. So this is the year Avonte Maddox has to take that step as the guy opposite Darius Slay. Prince, lead us off, bro. Any take on Avonte Maddox so far this training camp?
I'm going to actually piggyback off Rob just said about Jason Peters when he said now's not the time to shrimp. Speaking of shrimp, Avonte Maddox, that seems to be the issue, is his height. And if that's the only issue that you guys have out there that doesn't want him at the second quarterback position, then why don't we just put Rasul Burnt Douglas back there since he has the size? I mean, if this guy can play and he's the second best cornerback on the team, then why not just go with him? I don't understand this whole, we've been through this with Chip Kelly, the whole height, weight, size, ankle length, ankle width. Like, can the guy play football? Can he play football? And if the answer is yes, and him and Darius Slay have excellent chemistry, let it ride. I'm all Team Maddox, baby.
Love it. Let's limit the big plays this year. Rob, go ahead, dude.
Yeah, look, I think when you have a guy like Darius Slay on one side, hopefully taking the number one receiver, what you need on the other side, you don't need the shutdown corner there. You need a serviceable guy who's going to play well for you, who's going to play hard. And Avonte Maddox, to me, going into the season when you looked, was your best option. I mean, and I'm glad to see that he's playing that way because I wasn't counting on Sidney Jones. I'm over Rasul Douglas. I love Crayvon LeBlanc as a fourth guy, like coming in on dime packages. And Roby Coleman has made his career in the slot, so you really don't want to move him from there. I've had high hopes for Maddox for a couple years now, and to hear that maybe he's finally coming into his own, it's another beneficial. I was on a podcast with a couple NFC East guys the other day, and we were talking about the defensive backfields, and I actually looked at the Eagles and I said, I think all these backfields are similar, but the Eagles have a chance to have a really good secondary this year. With bringing Slay over, I think Will Parks at the safety position, and if Maddox can play and they can eliminate that big play discrepancy they've had, well, now all of a sudden you're talking about a team that could be competitive and a playoff team. Without it, they're not.
All right, Shane, you're up.
There was a lot of hype around Sidney Jones. As soon as they signed Darius Slay, everybody's talking about Sidney Jones. Sidney Jones is going to break out this year, and I have no idea where it came from. I never bought it. He's never done anything. But people are out on Avonte Maddox because of his height. And kind of like you talked about, who cares? I mean, people forget that Maddox had a great training camp last year. And he looked good in the start of the year, and he gets injured in the Packers game. And so the lasting memory is what Devonte Adams did to him in the Packers game. Well, Devonte Adams is the legit number one receiver in the league. He no longer has to cover those guys. That's Darius Slay's job. He's a perfectly good CB2, and I think he's going to do great on the outside this year.
All right, let's roll on to this third main storyline of Eagles training camp, and that is the receivers are looking great. And we had a skate day. I don't know what the ramifications are where we're at right now, but this one begins and ends with Mr. Jalen Reagor, and all signs point to this guy just being the one who can finally stop the bleeding in regards to the Eagles' recent history with drafting underwhelming wide receivers. Fingers crossed, guys, the shoulder injury is not serious. I guess there was some optimism in a recent tweet when we started recording this, there was some optimism. I forget, it was like Jimmy Kempski or something, that it could be okay. But man, like when you look at his skill set, and I've said this before over and over and over again, you're talking about a guy perfect for the Z for the Eagles. He's got the speed, the vertical ability, the yards after the catch, the potential and the versatility to thrive with Carson Wentz. And like next up, I got to give love to my man, Greg Ward. You know you saw this one coming, Rob. You know you saw this coming. This is the blood of Mr. Crockpot right here. I love fringe guys that develop and eventually get their spot in the starlight and on the stage. So Greg Ward, we're talking about a guy who had 28 catches for 254 yards last year in a full season. That's nearly 700 yards. I love this guy's potential in 2020, especially during a shortened offseason. Greg Ward understands the offense. He knows the concepts. He knows the routes. He's a great route runner. So we already know he has a great chemistry with my man Carson Wentz. So when you look at the crazy youth across, spots at the wide receiver position, I see this guy being a leader for Quez Watkins, John Hightower, Jalen Reagor, all these guys going to come in. He played 47.4% in the slot in 2019. That's only going to go up. Love my man Greg Ward. He's going to be a major role in the offense this year. Greg, lead us off, Rob.
Personally, out of my receivers, I like production all the time. Listen, when Greg Ward needs in his career, he needs to call you, Mr. Crockpot, as his agent, because I don't think anyone could sell his career as well as you just did in 30 seconds. I'm very impressed by that. Listen, I have not held my tongue about the Eagles wide receiver position. I think that the Eagles are putting a lot of faith on a guy in Deshawn Jackson who really has struggled to stay healthy, and then a bunch of young rookie and second-year wide receivers. And doing that is a dangerous, dangerous game, in my opinion. I did not like the way they handled the position in free agency. I understand that they got Goodwin and he opted out, obviously, with the situations in his home life. But still, to me, I understand. I've said this a lot, and Chris, you heard this from me. I understand they needed speed, but I don't think they needed 12 speed wide receivers. Where is the one guy that's just going to be a possession guy that's going to get you the catches? No.
Baby.
All right.
Probably JK.
And listen, I know that the word out of camp is they all look great, but this is not a normal training camp. They haven't gone against another defense. They haven't gone against a defense scouting for them. I have to see it on the game day field for me to get excited about this wide receiver corps.
All right, Shane, you're up, bro.
Rob asked where the possession guy is. We drafted him last year.
I know.
I'm in on J-Jaw. I wasn't out on him last year. I know it was a rough first year, but this is a guy that I looked at in the draft process and I was high on, and I just don't want to admit I was wrong, so I'm still going to bang his drum. But he's looked good. I know he's looked good in camp. I really do think that J-Jaw is going to come in this year. I mean, he's not going to be amazing, but he can be a 600-yard guy. And with Dallas Goedert, Zach Ertz, Deshaun Jackson, Greg Ward, I'll give you that one, whatever. J-Jaw is going to come in. He can make an impact this year.
Is his mom in training camp with the umbrella? That's what I just need to know. The mom umbrella over his head this year, training camp.
No idea.
I didn't know if that was like a deal breaker for J-Jaw and the Eagles. I didn't know if she had to be there.
First of all, he doesn't get a damn nickname until he does something. Say his whole damn name. Juan Ortega Whiteside, whatever the hell his name is. You know what? You sound just like me when I used to always see a glimpse and then I would project. I would be like, okay, over 16 games, that's this. And then we get Nelson and we get the other slop that we put out there. I'm higher on the wide receivers because to me, Reagor, he just feels different. He's built different. I watched him play in Colorado with suspect quarterback play, the only weapon, and still produce. So I'm very high on the wide receiver core. Yes, they are young and inexperienced, but we have experience in front of them, which is key. We have Deshawn, we have Alshon. I'm going to count Zach as a wide receiver, and I'm going to count all those other guys. And honestly, y'all should know this by now. Long as we got Doug P, I'm not afraid of anybody. And that's just the word to it. Anytime we lose somebody, I'll be like, okay, Doug, get in your bag, put the glasses on, let's go. So I'm very excited about this offense. Honestly, I'm more worried about the defense because I can't stand Schwartz. So that's where my worries is. Offense, I'm not worried at all because we got Doug on that side.
The thing at receiver is we could put Rob out there and it can't be worse than last year. So there's nowhere to go but up.
Pretty good. Rob's pretty good. I've seen him run to the refrigerator.
I can only give you 1 or 2 plays, and then I'm going to pull something or need oxygen. And I don't have that energy these days.
You going to pull a JP? You going to pull a JP?
Yeah, I'll pull a JP. I need the oxygen. I try and trace around 3 kids 5 years and under, and it don't work very well for me.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, that's been like the 2 biggest storylines has been Jalen Reagor's balling his eyes out, and John Hightower is actually playing very well. Assuming he's healthy, like, what do you guys think of Jalen Reagor's readiness? Do you see, there's been a long history of wide receivers during Eagles training camp playing great and then do nothing when the regular season starts. Prince, what are your expectations? Should we temper expectations for Jalen Reagor?
I think we should temper them for our own sanity. But far as Reagor, I believe he thinks he's going to come in and he's going to make noise. And I kind of agree because, like I said, he's built different. I think the Eagles legit have a certified yak guy. And that's very important to Carson when he could just dump something off to a guy and watch him make yards and watch him make plays versus, remember last year, it was either a deep bomb or short something, and they either get tackled or fall down. Like it was in a phone booth. With Reagor, I think there's a lot of big playability there from all points, even halfback. Like he could do it all everywhere. So I think that's going to be Carson's best friend, especially when the field gets shrunken. So yeah, I don't think you should taper at all.
Did you guys see the tweet that I don't know if it came from the Eagles or a beat writer or what, but someone compared him to Julio Jones? Did you guys see that?
Apparently,
no, Carson said he reminded him of Julio Jones.
Wow. I mean,
I said Macklin. I can't go Julio.
I mean, I think, listen, I love Carson. That is just that is the old QB trying to talk their man up. Because you cannot start comparing a guy who's been on the field to Julio Jones. But as far, Chris, you asked about expectations. The Eagles have put this kid in a situation where no one is going to temper expectations, right? He was your first-round draft pick. You didn't move up to 4 slots to get CeeDee Lamb. You didn't draft Justin Jefferson, who came from the LSU. I mean, I get it. But my point is, you've put this kid, and then your second-round pick, you drafted a backup quarterback. The only guy this fan base is looking at right now is him. So if he doesn't come out and produce, it's just another year with another draft pick that we have to wait for as fans because the Eagles organization wants to show us that they're smarter than everybody and draft not the sexy name. And maybe it works out. They better hope to hell that it does work out this time because I know I'm growing weary. And I believe a lot of the fan base is too.
Don't forget in the 3rd round, they drafted a linebacker that's going to be great on a second contract in 5 years with a different team after he learns how to play football.
Yeah.
Oh, man,
What is it with the Eagles and not wanting a sexy name? I've never understood that. Like, is it legit the smartest man in the room syndrome? Like, what is it?
You just triggered Rob.
No, because I believe this going back to the days of Joe Banner. They've always had an organizational feel that they can outsmart you. And that's, and then Andy Reid had it, and then Doug Peterson comes from the Andy Reid tree, and Howie Roseman learned under Banner. Like, it's just kind of moved along, and they all think, no, we can outsmart you. And that 1 or 2 times that it hits, they just keep going back to that. Like, they didn't outsmart anybody with Carson Wentz. They did a great job to get to that pick. But once they got there, you knew who you were drafting. Like, there was no, I'm going to outsmart you here and take this. You were taking one of the two quarterbacks. That was it.
I just don't get it. It's like if you have Jennifer Lopez already ready as she is, the woman over here, and you're like her potential. I know. I'm going for the short thing.
Yes.
J-Lo's ready. I'm going for J-Lo. That's it.
That was all I wanted this year. All I wanted from this draft was the sure thing. And the first two picks to me were no, we're going to show you that we know better. Now, Reagor has a good chance to turn out. But as I said the other night on one of my shows, the best case scenario with your second round pick is he never plays for you, because that means Carson Wentz is doing what you want Carson Wentz to do. That should never be your second round pick. Like, just stop. Just pick what's there. Meanwhile, Jeremy Chin, who was on the board, is getting rave reviews down in Carolina right now. Rave reviews. But no, we have Jalen Hurts to hopefully never play it down.
All right, let's wrap up Jalen and the receivers with Shane. Go ahead, man.
Jalen Reagor is a difficult guy to project. I think the hype's real. I don't think I want competency. I don't need great production. And I say you've got Deshawn Jackson, you've got Dallas Goedert, you've got Zach Ertz, Miles Sanders, your boy Greg Ward. There's a lot of mouths to feed, which seems crazy to say after how pitiful the offense looked last year. But there's a lot of guys there. And so I don't need him to come in and have an 800 or 1,000-yard season. I just need him to be competent on the field and be able to make plays. And if he can do that, assuming Deshaun stays healthy, which is a big if, but assuming he stays healthy, I'm not looking for him to turn in a 100-yard season. I'm just not. Maybe next year when Deshaun's gone or when Reagor's got a year of experience. But this first year, I just want him to look like a football player. That's all I want.
Isn't that a shame? You look around and you see these guys just balling. Like Pittsburgh let go of Antonio Brown because they had JJ. They was like, okay. But us, we're like, I just want them to line up right.
Well, I mean,
I just want to get football.
No, I mean, I think I'm going to piggyback off of what Shane just said. Like, Deshaun Jackson does way more to a defense than just catch a ball. Like, that guy puts pressure on the top of a defense. He makes defenses stay honest. I think that's what we want Jalen Reagor to do. He's a vertical threat, something that Carson Wentz hasn't had. We all know Deshaun Jackson's not going to play more than 10 to 12 games this year. That's just how it is. So if Reagor can do that and make, that spreads the intermediate game, that spreads that gets Dallas, that gets Zach wide open in that middle of the field, that has a trickle down effect. And I think that's what I took from that, Shane. Am I completely wrong?
Yeah. I mean, he's not going to have Terry McLaurin production from last year or Darius Slayton production from last year, but who else was on those teams to throw the ball to? Because the Redskins don't have Dallas Goedert. They don't have Zach Ertz. They don't have Deshaun Jackson. They had one guy, and it's a rookie they drafted. JJ doesn't have to come in and be the whole offense. He just needs to be able to play, be a part of it, not be the whole offense.
Yeah, and look, you're right on Goddard and Ertz, and you got to hope that they continue with their production. But, like, I can't say, well, we got Deshaun Jackson on the Eagles because I don't know how long. Look, 2 games. One game. Then he tried to come and play a series, and that was it. It was over. And then you're sitting there going, we're back to square one. Even when Deshaun came here last year, I was like, I really don't want Deshaun as your number one, but you thought Alshon was here, and then his injuries and everything, the media and all that crap. So first and foremost, I want a set of wide receivers that don't drop the ball in crunch time. Because if I have to watch it again this year after last year, I will lose my mind. Listen, first time Greg Ward drops a ball, dives, I'm tweeting at you. I'm just letting you know.
Bring it out, baby.
If Alshon doesn't play, and if Deshaun plays 4 games and gets hurt, and Reagor has a 500-yard year, that's a bad season.
Yeah.
But if Deshaun plays all year and Reagor looks good, he has 500-600 yards, I'm happy with that.
That's fair.
You know what? We're forgetting, Alshon isn't gone. He's coming back. So I'm big on Alshon. That's my guy. So
is he pupless?
You had Alshon. That's like
pupless.
that's like a trade.
All right, let's go on to the next storyline. So far through Eagles training camp, and that is the defensive line is dominating. Hargrave and Barnett they're both out with injuries. Even Dillard Avery went down, nearly almost looking like a season-ending injury with his knee. But the names I keep seeing are Malik Jackson and Josh Sweat. So I know the Eagles love Malik Jackson's versatility. This guy is going to play all over the line. I think I'm really interested to see, who starts. Is it Derek Barnett? Is it Malik Jackson on the edge there? Doesn't matter. The Eagles are going to rotate a ton there. Shane, lead us off, dude. Talk to us a little bit about the defensive line so far through Eagles training camp.
Yeah, the Eagles have always prioritized the defensive line, and they have the deepest, most talented group of defensive tackles in the league. You got Fletcher Cox and Javon Hargrave. Malik Jackson, like you said, he's going to bounce outside some, but Javon Hargrave's a lot better than people realize. I mean, this is a guy. He played as a nose. He's a pass rusher, but he played as a nose tackle in a 3-4 last year, and he got more sacks than Fletcher Cox. And you're going to put those guys beside each other, but you can't double team them both. And then you got Brandon Graham off the edge, Josh Sweat, Malik Jackson. There's so much talent, and I really do think that this year the defensive line is going to be able to take over football games, assuming we get Hargrave back and we can stay healthy. They're going to be a dominant force.
All right, Prince.
I feel like the same way about the offense. Like, again, and I'm going to come back to Rob. Me and Rob are on the same wavelength. Smartest person in the room syndrome. You got Yannick out there.
Amen.
Get the difference maker. Y'all remember I think it was a year ago when we played New Orleans. They marched down the field because this deep group of defensive ends, they couldn't get a sack. They couldn't get any pressure. That's what a blue chip pass rusher does. He wrecks a game plan. He totally wrecks it versus where, like, please, God, hope they double team somebody and somebody slips through. Like, I'm big on the defensive tackle position, but again, all the quarterback has to do is either move to his left and move to his right. Who's going to clean up? Yeah. I just don't understand why we can't just see that guy. He wrecks a game plan. Get him.
Amen.
Why?
Yeah, Yannick just went to the Minnesota Vikings for a second and a fourth round pick, I think.
Second and a fifth.
Second round, a fifth round pick. Would you guys do that trade quick? Yes or no? Rob?
Yes.
Shane?
No.
Prince?
Hell yes.
Yeah, I would too. I know the cap situation would be just pure hell, but that's what Howie does. That's like the one thing he does well. And don't we have all this cap? So all right, so I 100% would have done the deal. Defensive line, Rob, talk about a little bit about the D-line.
Yeah, listen, the defensive tackles are extraordinary. It's an extraordinary room. I mean, Hassan Ridgeway is kind of low man there, but he had a productive year last year, I felt. So to be your fourth defensive tackle there is an excellent position to be in. I said it all year. I said it going into the draft, going into free agency. They needed to add another defensive end because I don't believe you could count on Derek Barnett yet, or at this point. Not yet, at this point. And I thought, like you said, Shane, the Eagles have always made the defensive line a priority. So I thought there was no way they were getting out of the draft or the free agency period without one of these guys. I've heard from people they were that close to having Yannick before the draft. I mean, I heard it was very, very close and some things broke apart last minute. But regardless, okay, you don't want to make a trade for Yannick. All right. Everson Griffin, and where does he end up? Oh, that's right, on that Dallas defensive front, which is as scary as any in this league right now. I know that they lost what's the guy who got hurt? McCoy, but they're still loaded on that front. Yeah. There have been names there that they could have gotten to help solidify. And look, I will never, for as long as I live, rip Brandon Graham again, because that guy has one of the greatest plays in the history of our franchise, right? But Brandon Graham's not a sack guy. Brandon Graham gets some pressure. He doesn't get home as much as you would like. I know last year was a little bit better, but that's still only one side. You talk about a rotation. There's no other guy that I'm like, all right, Like, could Josh Sweat break out? Listen, I would love it. I liked when they drafted the kid. But once again, I feel like they just ignored a position, and they're trying to tell us, no, these guys that we drafted, we know more than you. They're going to be fine, and we're just going to roll with this. Like, bringing Vinny Curry back does nothing for me. Did nothing for me.
Absolutely nothing. I forgot he was.
Yeah,
It should. Vinny Curry was better than Derek Barnett last year.
Well, but see, like the bar is
That's second half too.
That's where our bar is, right? He was better than Derek Barnett. Well, Derek Barnett was a jackass last year. He got stupid penalties. I mean, it was just one of those things. So I just wish that you would have put some more of your, tools into that position. That's all.
All right, let's move on to our next storyline so far through Eagles training camp, and that is Carson Wentz. We talked about the receivers. We talked about the D-line dominating. Let's take the opposite stance. Carson Wentz is struggling, guys. He's clearly struggling to build chemistry with his young receivers. Shane, what is your take so far on Carson Wentz this training camp?
I mean, clearly we should bring Nick Foles back, right?
Okay.
No, if you've ever read anything I've put on Twitter, that's in jest. I'm not too concerned. Carson Wentz is a vet. He's entrenched as a starter. He's not somebody I'm worried about. The whole offensive line, defensive line thing is tough because for the defensive line to look great, the offensive line has to look bad. So everybody that looks good, it's because somebody else on the team looks bad. And I think a good portion of it is probably him not being comfortable behind that line. He's breaking in new receivers. He's always had off and on accuracy issues. Would I like to see him look sharper right now? Absolutely. But am I really concerned about him come week one? Not in the slightest.
All right, Prince.
Carson's a gamer. He's a guy that if you're from quarterback university, you're looking at him, you're like, what's wrong with this guy? But when it's time to play, man, he does some throws, some things. I know Dan Orlovsky is known to being a slurper, but Carson is just he does things that you just can't. He is a slurper. He just does things, man, that you're like, what? Like that throw to Miles Sanders. I still think people don't understand the difficulty of that throw. Like he's a game. He reminds me of Elway. Elway wasn't pretty. Like you won't pick him for a QB skills competition, but when it's time to play, I'll put him up against any of them. Favre the same way. Won't win any contest. Won't win a contest versus Tom Brady. But when it's time to play, he just different. So I'm not worried about the chemistry. It's a pandemic year. I'm pretty sure he would have had him out there if he could. So, and you know this, guys, the defense is always quicker than the offense to begin the season, and then it kind of evens itself out. I'm not worried about Carson Wentz.
Rob.
Prince said that me and him were on the same page, and literally the line I was going to start this speech with was Carson Wentz is a gamer. I swear to God, that's the exact same line. I'm not concerned. It's a weird off season. It's a lot of young receivers. It's going to take time to get a connection with those guys. But I think when the lights are on and the pads are on and you're all strapped up out on the field in games that matter, I think you'll see the true Carson Wentz come to shine. I had the debate. I was talking with these Dallas guys the other day, and we actually both agreed we're so tired of the Dak Carson debate. And the one place I got to disagree with them on, because they still went with Dak even after my point, they pretend as though having weapons and not having weapons shouldn't factor in. And I don't understand that, because the damn well should. Like Carson was throwing to bag boys last year. Dak had a full team, and the Eagles beat them 14-9 to win the division, basically. That shows you who the gamer is out of those two, which to me is the ultimate X factor of a starting quarterback in this league. I'm not concerned about him. If I'm not going to get overhyped about guys in training camp, I'm not going to get concerned because a guy may be struggling a little bit in training camp, because it's still these training camp practices. Let's wait till everything starts up here.
Wait a minute. Why are you comparing Dak and Carson Wentz? It should be Dak and QB2. Dak isn't signed, right?
Well,
Their QB is so good, he's not signed.
Yeah, he's got his franchise tag right now. You know, I don't know what Dallas is. Listen, I'm not going to rip the Cowboys right now because, in all honesty, and I say this with pain in my heart, and when these words come out of my mouth, it hurts.
Don't.
This team can be scary good this year. Looking at their roster like I did the other night,
Can we rip the Cowboys? I've got a good line. Yeah. I've got a good speech for that. Good spiel.
I would love to hear it because I need someone to talk me off of this ledge. I hate where I'm at.
I mean, when I think of Carson Wentz, I think of how talented that front seven is of the Washington football team. I think of that great Dallas defensive line. I'm scared. When you look at Carson Wentz in 2017, that guy was in rhythm. That guy had chemistry. That guy had a great offensive line. They ran the ball down the throats. That was the Carson Wentz, the MVP Carson Wentz. The last 2 years, we haven't seen that because all we've got was Carson Wentz, the defensive line in his face. And when you look at the current offensive line, I'm a little concerned. I'm a little concerned when Carson Wentz doesn't have the confidence to roll out and make that second, third read. I'm a little worried that, we're going to kind of fall back into, because we know it, like Carson Wentz has the ability. Everyone knows that this guy is in terms of long term, this guy's one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. He is a gamer, but he can kind of fall back into poor mechanics. He misses the layups. We've seen him miss these routine plays over and over and over again, especially last year. So if you have an offensive line in shambles, you guys have, maybe some young wide receivers that need to beat guys off the line of scrimmage that aren't ready yet. There is definitely room for concern. And let's not pretend that Carson Wentz, is there yet. This guy has not won the big game. This guy needs to win a playoff game. He needs to win the big game. It just hasn't happened yet, like Dak Prescott. So, I see it on both ends. I know Carson Wentz is talented, but he's got to earn it today. He's got to earn it this year in 2020. Let's move on to the other end. Rob's favorite topic, clearly. My man, not my man. I'm going to take that back. Jalen Hurts is playing well. So what does that mean in, the grand scheme of things in 2020? Lead us. Go ahead, Rob. You lead us off, man.
It means our dumbass Twitter fan base is going to start benching Carson Wentz 2 weeks into the season because Jalen Hurts looked great during practices against Darius Slay. And did you see that pass he threw at the end of practice today to a guy who will be not on the team soon? My goodness, let's go. It's the Jalen Hurts chance. It's one of those years where I am glad the fans will not be in the stadium because the boos are going to start on the first bad Carson Wentz pass. And we're going to – so no fans means ain't happening, which that's the one good thing. But you could go to the other guys. I just wanted to make that point.
No, you're absolutely right. It is like clockwork. Philly sports Twitter, it. The second Carson Wentz goes like 15 for 32 with 2 interceptions and 150 yards, and the Eagles lose. It's coming.
Impossible.
It is coming, guys. I 100% promise you. I'll bet my life.
Coming after if they go 3 and out in their first drive against Washington, I guarantee you, go on Twitter. There will be some idiot who puts up the idea. See, we should just go to Jalen now. It's over anyway. There's going to be an idiot.
Even if it was 3 run plays.
Yeah. 100%. With 3 run plays, I'd be stunned.
Exactly. All right, go ahead, Prince. What's your take on Jalen Hurts' performance so far, and what does that mean for 2020?
Well, Jalen Hurts threw the interception that got Rager hurt. How about that? How about that? How about that? You know who would never do that? Number 11, baby. Mwah. Let me tell you something. Now, but in all seriousness, though, love the kid. Love him. Love his mental makeup. Love what he's made of. Love how he could galvanize the team. And I love how he's going to make Carson uncomfortable, and that's okay. How many times did we have Peyton Manning with Curtis Painter in the back of him? But it's okay to have competition. It's okay. And I believe he's going to make Carson better, and Carson's going to make him better. So, Jalen Hurts, please be well. I hope you're so good that they put you in on some packages. Please give defensive coordinators something else to think about and take less hits for Carson Wentz. So please, Jalen Hurts, excel. Please get us a pick or a quarterback or a wide receiver, something else. I don't care.
All right, we have Killa_Cam86 joining. Thanks for joining, man. He gives the laughing emoji. Man, we're just having a good time today. All right, me personally, I just don't see much playing time for Jalen Hurts this season. I just see him maybe being thrown in like short yardage situations, red zone situations to take advantage of his mobility. You know, if this was a regular full offseason, maybe we could see more Jalen Hurts in 2020, but it ain't happening. It ain't happening. I don't believe for a second that he's the number 2 quarterback on this team. It is Nate Sudfeld. Go ahead, Shane.
You know who? What? Me?
Yeah, go ahead.
I don't know who that is.
Okay. You know, the fact that he's doing so well in training camp, I think it just proves that we're a QB factory. Like we've developed so many quarterbacks. We revived Sam Bradford's career. Nate Sudfeld's turned into a beast in our offense. Josh McCown, we brought that dude out of retirement, got him a playoff touchdown almost. Like we're a QB factory. I think that's all there is to it. Now, you know who was a better draft pick than Jalen Hurts? Danny Watkins.
Oh my God.
And I'll go
bring that name.
The Jalen Hurts pick was the most asinine draft pick that I've ever seen from a team. How are you going to take your star quarterback that you traded up to number 2 to get? He gets hurt. His backup wins a Super Bowl. You keep said backup on the roster for another year while people are building shrines to him in the locker room, right? You go down again, he gets you to the playoffs. He's finally gone. He's out of the picture. You commit to Wentz long term. And then the very next thing you do is go draft another quarterback. Like, I don't get it. I hate it. And you know what I hate the most? What I hate the most is that the depth chart is now going to read Wentz Hurts. That's just wrong. I don't like it. I'm over it. That said, I'm in Oklahoma. I live in Oklahoma. I'm an Oklahoma Sooners fan. I could not wait on Jalen Hurts to graduate. Like, I hated watching him play football. I thought he made the team worse by being on the field because his first read is to run the ball every time. It's first guy's open or I'm running. That's it. And that worked. That works on teams that aren't very good. OU had a lot of weapons. The Eagles have a lot of weapons. There's no scenario where he takes over for Carson Wentz. That said, the strength of his game was the power running game down in the red zone. And from what I've heard out of camp, that's been where he's really shined. So I could totally see a scenario where you've got a package for Jalen Hurts in the red zone. He's a real threat down there with the fact that he can run the ball with power. He can throw the ball a little bit. I think you could see him there, but the problem is you have to take Wentz off the field to do it. And where is Wentz good? It's in the red zone and the short yardage situations. So I don't know how they balance that. I do think you can use him in those situations, but I don't know how you do it.
All right. We have Killa_Cam86 saying, I got confidence in Carson, but I'd rather have Jalen over 42-year-old.
Yes.
I mean, I think everyone here agrees with that. I like Jalen Hurts. I love Jalen Hurts. I love the guy. I just don't agree with the holes that were there at that spot. That does not happen. So, any take on that?
You couldn't ask, like, I want to walk back what I said about Hurts just a little bit. I love the guy. I hate the player. Love the guy. You couldn't ask for a better teammate. He's the epitome of class all the way. Yeah. But I was so mad when we drafted him.
That was it, right? Like everyone knows this guy is like one of the hardest motherfucking workers in that locker room, in the gym, on and off the field. So like everyone's saying like, oh, Jalen Hurts is like putting in so much work. Everyone knows. Like this guy is a great kid.
He's Jimmy Butler? Wait a minute, is it Jimmy Butler or Jalen Hurts? Which one is it?
Up at 3 a.m. like Scoots on the
oh, man.
Dribbling basketballs in the hotel room.
Listen, Novacare.
My counterpoint to what Killa_Cam is saying here is if you draft a backup quarterback in the second round, it means your team is built to win. This team had so many holes, and there were so many players at different positions for them that they could have went there, including one that not a lot of people have talked about because Miles Sanders isn't here. How about adding J.K. Dobbins to Miles Sanders right there at that spot? You want to talk about a kid who was productive? Hell yeah, he was productive. Like that, Jeremy Chin. There were other receivers. There was a linebacker. There were so many positions that they needed that were there at that moment.
AJ Epinesa, how about that?
Yeah.
Real third or fourth rotation defensive end there would be fantastic.
I mean,
Christian Fulton.
Fulton.
And the dives, we were so high on Jeremy Chin, and as I'm watching it and he's sitting there, I'm like, all right, I mean, this would be a great move. And then no, it's Jalen. I'm telling you, I was sitting 2 feet away from where I am now, and the feeling as my heart sunk deep into my gut on that pick was, oh my God, we're living this again. We're living this again. It's just it never ends.
All right, let's roll on to one of my favorite storylines of Eagles training camp so far. My Temple University. We are talking about Sean Bradley and his potential to make the roster moving forward. Oh, man, we already lost Prince. He's gone. All right, so Sean Bradley has been playing really, really well. What does that mean for the roster? Go ahead, Rob.
It means that I hope he can play linebacker because they don't have any. I mean, like, listen, DJ Edwards has to make this leap, this unbelievable leap this year. I am not the biggest fan of. I get his last name wrong every time. Nate, Jerry, whatever the hell it is. It doesn't matter. I'm not a fan of him. Davion Taylor just is going to take too much time. So guess what? Sean Bradley, I hope you can play. I hope you can be a guy. I don't know. Maybe the Eagles just don't plan on playing linebackers this year. Maybe it's just going to be all defensive backs all day long. I have no idea.
I got a great analysis of what I think they're doing. Number one, I don't think the Eagles have had athleticism since when? Like, I think what we have, I think what we have now there is I think they're going to try to get at least two guys in some packages where see ball, get ball. Because how many times were we just sliced up in the middle because we were slow, we were plotting, we didn't hit the holes fast enough. So if you got some guys that's inexperienced, the least they could be is athletic to make up for it. Like, remember Kendricks, like for most of his things, he just had the speed to negate a lot of his mistakes. And hey, this is why the coaches make money. Draw up some plays to get them doing what they do best. I'm not there with you, Rob. I think we have linebackers. I think we just don't know what the hell kind of linebackers we have. Like, do we have coverage backers? Do we have run stuffing linebackers? Or do we have just guys that's going to be running around like chickens with their head cut off? So we just don't know. But we do have speed and talent and potential. That I can't say. Minus Nate, Jerry, Gary, Harry, whatever the hell his name. This dude stinks, man. I can't stand him.
I called it when they drafted this guy. Like, this guy's a big-time tackler guy. I think this is going to be a Philly favorite kind of guy. I don't know how good he's going to be, but the second –
well, how's he going to be a favorite? We don't know how good he's going to be.
I meant in terms of like being a real, like, legit starting linebacker.
I got
I think he's going to make the roster. I think he's absolutely going to make the roster.
Well, if he didn't have to renegotiate his contract yet, so that's a plus.
You know what? Shane with the quibs.
I wasn't.
You touched on it. It's like, this guy has speed. He's a high football IQ guy. Davion Taylor's clearly not ready to step on that football field for the Eagles. I think, this is one of those guys that's going to replace Greg Ward in terms of like my favorite member of the Eagles.
What is it with you and these scrappers?
I run the Blue Room TPL, man. This is like my heart. This is my blood. This is my blood. I love it. Go ahead, Shane. Sorry, dude.
I wasn't a fan. I wasn't a big – I mean, it's hard to hate a day 3 pick. So, and I thought the Eagles had a good day 3. Bradley was my least favorite pick on day 3. I just didn't see it. And he's done really well in camp, and so I'll be happy to take the L on that one. whatever it takes for me not to have to watch Nate Gary play football again would be great.
Thank you.
I can't stand him. He's terrible. The Eagles they don't care about the linebacker position. They just don't. And it's part of how they build their roster. They invest so much on the defensive line. Jim Schwartz, everybody says that Jim Schwartz's defense is built to get pressure with 4 people. That's not the point of his defense. The point of his defense is to be +1 in the box and stop the run because he's playing in the 1980s NFL. So they don't value linebacker as much because we're always +1 in the box. We have the defensive line. And so if we just have guys that if they're just athletic, if they just know where they're supposed to be, even if they're not the most talented, I really do think linebacker will be okay. But it's hard to not be a little bit concerned, just having no idea what we're looking at right now.
What is Jim Schwartz's appeal? Why do people like him so much? I can't stand the guy. He has this stupid face, and you can't explain to me analytically or football wise why you play back 30 yards at a 4th-and-29. Why?
He routinely puts players in the wrong position. Routinely.
I did a YouTube breakdown last year after the Cowboys game, the first Cowboys game, on Schwartz about why they should have fired Schwartz after that game. And we're sitting there. The Cowboys are at the end of the half. They're trying to get in field goal range. And Jim Schwartz literally ran the exact same off coverage 3 plays in a row. And the Cowboys ran the same corner out route combination right to the sideline, 15 yards out of bounds, and he never adjusted. It gave up a field goal. And that didn't matter. We lost by more than a field goal. But I've been around high school coaches that could sniff that out. And for him to routinely make such horrible calls on defense. I mean, you even have Malcolm Jenkins a few years ago going to him and be like, hey, every starter on our team's out. We're playing with guys we picked up last week. Maybe we need to simplify the defense. That's concerning to me. Especially without a guy like Jenkins here this year.
What are you simplifying? Oh my God.
That's really been the theme of the last several months with the Eagles, though. What kind of defense, what kind of scheme are the Eagles going to roll out? Is it a hybrid? The Eagles have been picking up all these kind of versatile guys: safety, cornerback, defensive line. So let's keep this rolling. We talked about Sean Bradley possibly making the final 53-man roster. Let's talk about the other end, and that is my man Sidney Jones, who might not make the roster. This is a contract year for Sidney Jones. Lead us off, Prince.
First of all, Sidney Jones is going to make the roster. Howie Roseman does not give up on pick. Like Rob said, for that same reason, smartest man in the room, Sidney Jones. And if Sidney Jones catches one game-changing interception, that's going to continue to give Howie the ability to be the smartest man in the room syndrome. And next year, he's going to draft a kicker the first round. That's just the way it's going to work. I'm telling you, Sidney Jones is going to make it. He's going to do something nice. He's going to have maybe a good game where he has to step in on somebody. And then everybody's going to be like, see, Howie season. And then he's going to proceed to stink. But I think Sidney is going to make it for whatever reason. He has legs, he has tissue for legs, and he just can't stay on the field. So, but I think he will make it because they invested so much into that pick. They have to see that through. They have to.
Yeah, man. Talk about a guy who has done the bare minimum to make this roster, dude. I don't know what the plan is for Sidney Jones moving forward, but either they try to trade him or they hope he has a breakout year. I don't see it happening. The latter. You look at guys like Will Parks and Jalen Mills, guys that you can put all over the field. I'm very interested to see what the hell the plan is for Sidney Jones. Go ahead, Rob.
It was funny. He made the big play against Dallas at the end of that game, that second game against Dallas last year. And I think that's where some people are like, oh, see, there it is. There's the potential, as always, the overreaction. I personally, as much as I've ripped Howie for thinking he's the smartest man in the room, I don't think he survives. And I say that from a numbers game. They got a lot of guys in that defensive backfield. And one of the weird things that happened, and Chris, I was excited about this, was they had released a guy and then brought him back in Trevor Williams. I don't know if they like the guy. It seemed interesting that they were bringing him back after just releasing him. Is the thought process he's going to make the roster? He'll be the last corner. And if so, does that mean Sidney's the odd man out? Does that mean Rasul's the odd man out? Because they're going to have to carry a lot of guys maybe in other positions that they wouldn't necessarily carry that big of a number. And at some point, I think the corners become a numbers game, and they might have to just give up on the dream of Sidney Jones and just admit again to another bad draft pick.
You're going to have to eat just a late round pick, I guess, for Sidney Jones. I mean, at this point, why not? Go ahead, Shane.
Yeah, I mean, if somebody offered me a day 3 pick, I'd take it. But it becomes a numbers game like Rob was talking about. I mean, you've got 4 safeties that are locks for the roster. Rodney McLeod, Kayvon Wallace, Jalen Mills, and Will Parks. They're all going to make the roster. All 4 of them have corner background. Schwartz likes that in his safeties. They can play corner. Then you start looking at corners. Darius Slay, lock. Avonte Maddox, lock. Nickel Roby-Coleman, lock. Then you've got Crevon LeBlanc. I would call him a lock. He's there. So you're sitting at 8 defensive backs right now that are locks. Are they going to carry 5? Or, I mean, they're going to carry at least 5 corners. Are they going to carry 6? I'm not convinced that they do. And so if you're talking about 5 corners, you had Rasul Douglas versus Sidney Jones. Now you've added in Trevor Williams to that mix. I don't know that Jones gets that next shot. I really don't. And it doesn't help that you have Malcolm Jenkins calling him out last season about not being confident and playing through. He said, we all play hurt. And Sidney just keeps pulling himself out of games. You had Doug Peterson talk about it. You had Jim Schwartz talk about it. And now we're in training camp, and he's sitting out all of training camp with another soft tissue injury. Like at a certain point, either his body is just not cut out for the NFL or his mind's not. And I don't know which, but it doesn't really matter. You can't use a guy that can't get on the field.
Excellent points.
Well said, man. Final comments, anybody?
I want some better news tomorrow. I don't want to hear the news of an injury or that a guy I really wanted the Eagles to have ending up with another team. Give me some good news this week. Listen, I just figured it out. We're like 10 or 11 days from the start of the season on the Thursday night. So then you just add another 3 days. I mean, we're 2 weeks away from being down in Washington, playing our first game of the season. Yeah. I would like to see some better news coming out as we get closer here. Because right now, my already kind of meh feeling on this season is getting worse. It's getting worse.
You know who's feeling pretty good right now? Probably Jadeveon Clowney.
Yeah.
The injuries amount on the Philadelphia Eagles, that guy's probably like
you just spoke my word. I think Howie makes a move before the season. He's going to do something. I'm not going to say it's Clowney, but he's going to do something. This team needs some juice. And I don't care what nobody says. And Rob, you got people in that building. They love to win the headlines. Even if it's a stupid move, they love to win it. And Howie's going to make that one move that says, what the fuck? He was available?
Yeah. I guarantee you, whatever day the 76ers hire a new head coach, the Eagles do something on that day. It's going to happen. They're not going to let the 76ers steal their spotlight. They will make a move on that day. Hopefully prior to that, though, Clowney, it seems like they're happy with their running back room. For a long time, I thought they might sign one of those vets that were out there, like a Freeman, but it seems like they're happy with that room right now, so that's probably not going to happen, but hopefully it's something.
They got to go get an offensive lineman. I mean, assuming they get the thing figured out with Peters and say you slide him to left tackle and you put Matt Pryor at right guard, I feel good about that offensive line group. Problem is Jason Peters hasn't played over 80% of the snaps either of the last 2 years. And now with Matt Pryor being a starter, all of your backups have combined to play 3 NFL snaps. They've got to go get somebody else.
It's going to be O-line or D-line that Howie's going to make a move. It's just right. It's on par for the course.
Yeah, right. I'm fine with the D-line move, but they've got to get an offensive lineman.
Yeah,
there's just no way around it. And
yeah.
If they can get the offensive line figured out, I feel really good about the offense. And I said earlier on in the offseason that this feels like the biggest boom-bust team that I've ever talked about in Philly, because I could legitimately, if the wide receivers catch fire, if they're good, this could be a 13-win team. And if they're bad and the offensive line implodes, it could be a 6 or 7 win. Like, it could go either way. But I really feel like if they can get the offensive line figured out, this could be a really good team.
All right, let's do plugs. Lead us off, Rob.
All right, you can find me, as always, with the Party on Broad with our man, Mr. Crockpot over there, as well as on The Madness with Jessica Town. We come live through the Painted Lines, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, everywhere, every Thursday night, 8 o'clock. We had a fun first week of doing it live last week. Had Jess get into it, Celtics fans, which is always fun for me.
Yeah.
And me questioning her movie taste because she's foolish, but that's besides the point. We'll leave that one alone. Which, by the way, Dibes, I will not take a loss to you. I will not take another loss to you in one of these damn drafts, man. I can't do it. For my own psyche, I can't do it. So for me, my list is better. He's got Goonies on a comedy list. That's out. Goonies on a comedy list is a disqualification. Everybody have a great Sunday.
Rob and I are in a comedy movie draft in the Final Four. Make sure you follow Suit Up TPL on Twitter. Cast your vote for your favorite collection of comedy movies. Go ahead, Prince. What do you want to plug?
Real Time with Prince Blue. Monday, Wednesday, Fridays, or whenever I get pissed off at somebody. Thank you for having me, man. You guys are chill as shit, man. I really enjoyed it. Rob, I think we're here. And I think D is really he's taking my Homer mantle. So naturally I can't be that guy. So I gotta kind of poo-poo when he's happy. I don't want to be that guy. Hey, I don't want to be that guy.
This is a live
but
show.
I think I'm going to have to. But thank you guys for having me. I appreciate it. Love it. Love the family atmosphere. Mine's downstairs probably tearing up the whole house. I got to go. Thank you guys. I appreciate it.
And my man Shane, you're up, dude.
You can check out my work on Painted Lines. Follow me on Twitter. That's about all I've got right now. Maybe working on a podcast down the line, but hit me up on Twitter. I tweet a lot more frequently than I write, but you'll see both. So
awesome. All right, so make sure you lock it down to thepaintedlines.com. Make sure you vote for my team over Rob's team at the Suit Up TPL on Twitter. Rob saying no. I have the better team. For Shane, for Prince, for Rob, for myself. Thanks for watching, guys. Stay awesome.